You're watching Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. I am Tom Downey. Our goal right now is 16,000 subscribers before week 1 of the NFL season. Let's make sure we're beating the Browns, beating the Ravens, and beating the Bengals as well in terms of subscribers here at Chat Sports. 16,000 is the goal. I think it's doable with week 3 of the preseason coming up. Hit that big red button and subscribe right now. Today's edition of Pittsburgh Steelers Talk is presented by LinkedIn Talent Solution. LinkedIn Jobs here to make your job easier to find the right person for the position you're trying to fill. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. More on LinkedIn Talent Solutions later on in today's show. We're taking a look at some potential jobs to fill for the Steelers. Namely, how can Pittsburgh make the offensive line better? We've got 3 different trade candidates, that's players Pittsburgh could trade away to make the offensive line better. Because remember, you got to give up talent to get talent back from that perspective. And we'll look at some potential targets for the Steelers to pursue along that offensive line. Things have been iffy so far in the preseason. I won't lie, I've been a little bit underwhelmed so far by the play out of James Daniels. I was hoping he'd be a bit more consistent. Heard a lot of positive things on Dan Moore in training camp, etc. I don't think he's been nearly as productive as we would hope in the preseason. Kevin Dotson's been banged up. That's actually very much helped Kendrick Green have a shot to be a key part of this offense. I think Chuck Okorafor has been pretty steady, but not as reliable as I think you'd like there. I don't think Kendrick Green's looked that good when given a chance to play games, and Mason Cole's been okay from that perspective. Maybe most troublingly, Dan Moore, I thought, really regressed from week 1 to week 2 of the preseason. So some targets and candidates coming up. But should the Steelers sign or trade for an offensive lineman? Just in general, get more help. Type in Y for yes or N for new. The trade candidates coming up, then the targets along the offensive line via trade. This is the pinned comment on today's show. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Type in Y for yes, or you can type in N for no. The first trade candidate, and these ideas have been floated out there by a couple of different people, SteelersWire most recently, was Mason Rudolph. And of course, first off, we can't have any trade conversation on this channel without Mason Rudolph somehow being tied in. Although this is maybe the best time to consider it. I thought he played awesome against the Jacksonville Jags. Now, I will make note, by the time that Mason Rudolph came in, it's not like it was the good players playing for Jacksonville, but that was a better game than we've seen out of him in recent years in terms of preseason stuff. And the Jags have some offensive linemen. Maybe you could do an actual Joshua Dobbs 2.0 trade. We'll break down one of those names here in a little bit. I do still think the value for Mason Rudolph is not high. We know what he is. Can he be your number 2 quarterback? Yes. Is he going to bring you anything more than that? No, I don't think that he is. I think the best case scenario is you end up with a Joshua Dobbs-esque package. You're not going to get back a 4th. If you are lucky, you get a 5th or the equivalent player worth a 5th-round pick. And that's the tricky part overall across the NFL. You don't often find a bunch of really freely available offensive linemen because everybody has depth issues, and most teams don't want to move away the one good depth piece that they have. And if it's a starter, that's even trickier to pull off. So what is the lowest draft pick you would take for Mason Rudolph? Clearly, Trubisky's the starter. Clearly Kenny Pickett is the next man up. Sound off for me in the comments section the lowest pick you would take for Mason Rudolph. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you want to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL daily to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Look, we're hiring people all the time here at Chat Sports. Our most recent hire, Matthew, he found us through LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL daily. That's in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's move on now with some more trade conversations for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next up on the trade candidates list for USA Today is Devin Bush. Not a huge surprise, right? Bush has been not great. I thought he was better against Jacksonville. He was also just a disaster against Seattle. 2019 versus 2021, the regression was real. The public comments about, I'll be somewhere in the NFL next year, don't help you feel better at all about Devin Bush. Again, I thought he was better against Jacksonville. He actually made some plays, didn't look nearly as lost. But this team has options at linebacker. You've got Miles Jack. You've got potentially Robert Spillane. Maybe Buddy Johnson can emerge and take a nice step forward for this particular team. Or maybe you get some health along with Marcus Robinson. So things are a bit dicey at the inside linebacker spot. I don't want to give up on Devin Bush. But if it got you a quality offensive lineman, given that Bush probably won't be back for this team next year, I would be all over that potential move. So pick one to start. Of course, you're going to start Miles Jack. Pick another one for me, though. DB for Devin Bush. RS for Robert Spillane. Let me know who you would rather have starting at inside linebacker. The final trade candidate, and I think this one makes a lot of sense for actual value, that is Chase Claypool. And I'm not advocating give up on Claypool. I know you've got Deontay Johnson. We're all excited about George Pickens. There are some other receivers. Gunnar Olszewski. You've got Calvin Austin. You don't have to move on from Claypool yet. But of all three guys on this list, Claypool has the most actual value. He can at least be a wide receiver 2 or 3 for the vast majority of teams across the NFL. That real value makes him an actual asset. Devin Bush, Mason Rudolph, those guys' values never really been lower. So if you trade him now, it would have to be to get an actual player back. Trading Claypool away for a 5th or whatever draft pick doesn't move the needle for me. The whole point is to get offensive line help. And I think if you're doing that, Claypool's a good name to consider. Speaking of names to consider, let's break down the offensive line trade targets. We'll go player-by-player reveal style here. Guys have talked about quite a bit in the past. Andre Dillard. Now, I think he'd have to be a left tackle for you, which is what he's played in Philadelphia. This would be the we're out again on Dan Moore scenario. Dillard, when he's played, has been good. I also have this concern. I think the pass blocking is mostly okay for Pittsburgh. The offensive line did not open up many holes run blocking wise for Najee Harris last year. That's not exactly Dillard's strong suit either. Of the guys on this list, he'd probably be one of the most expensive as well. Walker Little is next up here, and this could also be Jawan Taylor. Those two guys are fighting for the right tackle spot. Loser could be dealt since they were relatively high draft picks. Taylor's more of a right tackle only. I think Little could play both. That's why I put him on this list for Jacksonville, former second-round pick out of Stanford. Remember, new regime involved in Jacksonville. Cody Ford next up here. Again, common theme, right? Relatively early draft picks early on. Cody Ford, a second-round pick out of Oklahoma, Buffalo Bills. Seems like he's not going to be a starter for them in 2022. And now it's a matter of where does he go? Where does he play? He can do a lot of things for you, mostly on the right side of the offensive line. At minimum, I think you feel better about that depth. Max Scharping. Hey, look, another early-round draft pick out of Houston. Or I should say for the Houston Texans. He's had a pretty interesting career. He's kind of bounced around all over the offensive line for Houston. I think he's better at guard, which maybe you try him at left guard if you're not sold on Kendrick Green and Kevin Dotson's banged up again, or if you're really worried about James Daniels, which you can't be since you paid him so much money. Scharping, I think I'd put over Cody Ford just from a pure fit perspective. Talent, pretty even there. If you want a better swing tackle, if that is an area that you're concerned about for the Steelers, Cameron Erving is a good name to consider. The Panthers actually have some depth along the offensive line, and with Ike Mekwonu finally winning that left tackle job officially, I doubt they trade Brady Christensen. Erving then could be a trade chip for somebody, although the money is a little bit more than you might want. That is the end of today's video. If you made it all the way to the end, makes you a real one. Go down to the comment section, type in "Here we go," and producer Jeremy will show you some love in the comment section.